to this occasion. We don't take it for granted that you found time to join us. We do really appreciate, and we look forward to a more engaging partnership going forward. I'll be as brief as that. Thank you. Very good.
Club is also the treasurer of the board. At this point, allow me to bring on board the representative from GJN, who is going to give his remarks virtually. I don't know if we can connect to Vivek Maru. There he is. Yes. So maybe you can just give us his voice.
Namaste. You guys can hear me all right?
Yes.
I bring greetings from Namati and the Grassroots Justice Network. That is what GJN stands for. And I'm seriously fired up to be part of the launch of KITUO CHA SHERIA's strategic plan. 14 years ago, KITUO was part of a small group of organizations that came together to create what eventually was called the Legal Empowerment Network, and today is called the Grassroots Justice Network. Today, that community, which KITUO helped establish, has members from over 180 countries, representing over 4,700 organizations. It's a really important global community, the largest community of justice defenders in the world. And over the years, I've had the honor of working with 4 KITUO executive directors, Priscilla Nokabi, Gertrude Angote, Annette Bogo, and now Dr. Wambua Kituku. And it was wonderful to see Dr. Wambua, your face a moment ago. And I will tell you, I have seen in every one of them grit and dedication and passion for justice. And I have felt that spirit whenever I have interacted with anyone on the KITUO team. It is an extraordinary institution. And KITUO is a pioneer of this idea of legal empowerment, which is basically the idea that law should not just be something in the hands of lawyers or judges. It should be something in the hands of everyone. And that idea of legal empowerment, that is the idea that unites our global network. We didn't realize it 14 years ago, I don't think. At least I didn't realize it. But we were in the early part of what has been a global recession for democracy, for freedom, for basic rights. There's an organization called Freedom House, and they track data across multiple countries every year. And according to Freedom House, 2025 was the 20th consecutive year when freedom declined globally. And that retreat from rights and democracy has perhaps been nowhere more stark than in the United States, which is where I'm calling from. The US government has been prosecuting a war in Iran that, in my view, is illegal and immoral. At home, armed immigration officers have been disappearing people, including children, from workplaces, from schools, from their homes. And the US government passed a law recently that offers tax breaks to the wealthiest of $2 trillion and cuts $1 trillion in basic benefits like health care and food stamps for the poor. It's literally robbing from the poor to give to the rich. And I know that Kenya, too, has experienced versions of that democratic recession, including most recently a concerning pattern of the executive not respecting judicial decisions. These trends, they pose grave dangers to human civilization. They are really scary. And we have got to find our way towards a deeper, more successful version of democracy, one that makes us more equal, not less equal, one that lifts people up rather than preying on them, one that can act effectively on common challenges like climate change, conflict, and the need to regulate artificial intelligence. I believe firmly that legal empowerment is part of the solution. It's part of how we build the kinds of democracies that we need. And a core strategy for legal empowerment is community paralegals. Community paralegals are organizers who can be a bridge between law and the people who need it. KITUO pioneered community paralegals in Kenya in the 1970s. It's one of the organizations that has the oldest history with community paralegals in the world. And I just wanted to share some recent data. My colleagues and I recently analyzed interviews with about 100 what we call justice seekers, which are people who receive support from community paralegals to tackle a justice problem they face. And these were grave problems. It was land grabs, unlawful pollution, denial of identity documents. And the justice seekers were from 3 different countries: Kenya, India, Myanmar. And despite facing such tough challenges, 90% reported after working with community paralegals that they had developed greater confidence in engaging government institutions. 92% said that they were either willing to help or had already helped others facing similar problems. And in all 3 countries, people came together from their specific injustices to analyze patterns about how the system wasn't working well and envision how it could work better, and to fight together for improvements in laws and systems. So they went from knowing and using the law to tackle a specific problem to coming together and shaping the law to build better systems. And a notable example is in Kenya. Over the last 60 years, Kenya has had a discriminatory system with respect to ID documents, where basically Muslim Kenyans have been subject to a discriminatory vetting process. And over a 12-year period, community paralegals helped 30,000 Kenyans navigate discriminatory vetting and obtain ID documents, which was transformative for them and for their families. They were able to vote and apply for jobs and get bank loans and take part in Kenyan society in a way that they never had been before. But moreover, those 30,000 people, they led a movement of Kenyans from across the country, Muslim and non-Muslim, who demanded a more inclusive system for all. And in February of last year, President Ruto abolished vetting committees, which was a historic milestone. When we started on that, the government wouldn't even acknowledge that vetting was a problem. And so they went from acknowledging it to asking us to help address it to finally abolishing vetting committees. That work is not done. There's still ways in which discrimination shows up, but it was a historic milestone, and it was proof of the power of legal empowerment. I think many people in Kenya, many people around the world today experience the law as broken. And it's true, the law is broken. But the message of KITUO CHA SHERIA, the message that is in this new strategic plan, and the message of the Grassroots Justice Network is this: if we know law, we can use it, and if we use it, we can fix it. So I am truly honored to walk with KITUO into the future to implement this strategic plan and to pursue that vision of a deeper version of democracy together. Thank you so much for having me today.
Of Africa Alliance for People-Centered Justice, whose name is quite long. So I will try, as we get a connection to him, and introduce him as Akin Bolahan Adeniran, who is a former state prosecutor for Nigeria, an ICC prosecutor, and a global Rule of Law Strategist for an exclusive mentor office hour at KITUO Career Impact Summit for Career Accelerator ticket holders. Today he speaks on behalf of the African Alliance for the People-Centered Justice, AAPCJ. I don't know if we have him ready. Ronnie? Okay. Please bear with us. We have guests joining have been joined, although we'll be officially welcomed to come and greet all of you by the chair of KITUO CHA SHERIA board, who is here with us. Let's give him a little round of applause. We have also been joined by the chair of Nairobi branch of the Law Society, Mr. Eric Kivova. Let's give him a round of applause. I have been informed that in our midst we have the presence of the Executive Director for FIDA Kenya. So let's give her a round of applause. I see that she's being moved to a different location. I've seen Dr. Kibet. Yes, Dr. Kibet. I think we will also need to move Dr. Kibet closer to the podium from the Kenya School of Law. Let's give Dr. Kibet a round of applause. ZTech Law School. Yes. Yeah. So karibu sana daktari. Oh, sorry. There we go. Let's go, guys.
June has been one of those months that make me question why technology is not yet at the point where a person can physically be in 2 or 3 places at the same time. Nevertheless, it is my honor to join you with this recorded message at the launch of KITUO's strategic plan under the timely and inspiring theme, Advancing People-Centered Justice in Kenya and Beyond. On behalf of the African Alliance for People-Centered Justice, I congratulate KITUO for this important milestone and for the courage, clarity, and commitment that this new strategic plan or direction represents. Today is not only a moment to unveil a plan, it's a moment to reaffirm a vision that justice must begin with people, with their everyday realities, their struggles, their dignity, and their aspirations. Justice cannot be meaningful if it is distant, expensive, slow, or incomprehensible. It must be accessible, it must be responsive, and above all, it must be centered on the lives of the people it is meant to serve. For decades, KITUO has stood as a powerful example of what this vision looks like in practice. Through its work, KITUO has shown that justice is not only found in courtrooms, legal texts, or formal institutions. It is also found in communities, in homes, in workplaces, in refugee camps, in informal settlements, and in all the places where people confront injustice in their daily lives. This is why the work of legal empowerment, which KITUO has long championed, is so important. Legal empowerment recognizes that people are not merely passive recipients of legal services. They are rights holders, agents of change, and active participants in changing and shaping justice outcomes. It is about equipping individuals and communities with the knowledge, tools, confidence, and support they need to understand the law, claim their rights, resolve disputes, and hold institutions accountable. This approach is transformative because it closes the gap between the promise of justice and the lived experience of ordinary people. It helps ensure that justice is not reserved for the few, but made real for the many. KITUO's legacy in this regard is profound. By standing with workers, women, refugees, tenants, prisoners, marginalized communities, and countless others, KITUO has served to build a model of justice that is practical, humane, and deeply rooted in people's needs. Its work reminds us that legal aid is essential, but legal empowerment goes further. It enables people not only to seek help, but also to know, use, and shape the law for themselves. That is the heart of people-centered justice, and that is why this strategic plan matters so much. At a time when societies across Africa and the world are grappling with inequality, exclusion, displacement, economic hardship, and growing pressure on justice systems, we need institutions that are willing to reimagine justice from the ground up. We need strategies that move beyond rhetoric and commit to inclusion, accountability, innovation, and partnership. We need to invest in justice that reaches the last mile. KITUO's new strategic plan offers precisely that kind of leadership. Its theme signals not only ambition for Kenya, but solidarity with a broader continental and global movement. A movement that recognizes that people-centered justice is essential to democratic governance, social cohesion, sustainable development, and human dignity. As the African Alliance for People-Centered Justice, we deeply value this leadership and partnership. Across the continent, we're seeing growing recognition that community justice workers, paralegals, legal aid providers, social justice organizations, and grassroots actors are indispensable to building fairer societies. They are often the first point of contact for people facing injustice. They translate rights into action. They bridge communities and institutions, and they help make justice systems more trusted, more inclusive, and more effective. This is why partnership is so important. No single institution can deliver people-centered justice alone. It requires collaboration across government, the judiciary, civil society, academia, communities, and development partners. It requires listening to those closest to injustice and designing responses with them, not only for them. It requires sustained political will, adequate financing, supportive policy environment, and recognition of grassroots justice actors as essential actors in the justice ecosystem. So as we launch this strategic plan, let us also renew our collective responsibility. Let us support approaches that place people at the center of justice reform. Let us invest in legal empowerment as a pillar of access to justice. Let us strengthen the community-based actors who make justice visible and reachable for so many. And let us work together to ensure that justice is not an abstract ideal, but a lived reality for every person. To KITUO, thank you for your leadership, your service, and your unwavering belief that justice must belong to everyone. To all stakeholders gathered here today, this strategic plan is an invitation not only to celebrate but to act, to deepen partnerships, to scale what works, to protect what matters, and to advance a future where people-centered justice is not the exception, but the norm in Kenya and beyond. The African Alliance for People-Centered Justice stands with you in that journey. Thank you.
National Legal Aid Services, Fresha Gidumbi. We have a State Council, Asi Gikunda. Let's give her a round of applause. I must also apologize that I had seen Deputy Director of Prosecutions, Mr. Joseph Riungu, who is seated somewhere at the back. So please, Mr. Riungu, just wave for everyone to see. He's here in his capacity and also in a representative capacity for the Honorable Director of Public Prosecutions, Renson Ingonga. Karibuni sana, sana tena sana. Wasalimia, and your time will come. At this point, I want to invite, also joining us virtually on the platform, is the representative of the African Center of Excellence for Access to Justice, Mr. Andrew Kananga. Andrew Kananga is currently the Executive Director of the Legal Aid Forum in Rwanda, a position that he has held since 2008 from the year 2004. Andrew was a senior legal advisor to the National Semi-Traditional Courts, Gacaca, that were charged with the trials of the people suspected of having committed genocide in Rwanda. In 2012, Andrews was among the 3 legal experts nominated by the Ministry of Justice in Rwanda to oversee the development of a legal aid policy in Rwanda. Andrews holds a postgraduate diploma in legal practice from the Institute of Legal Practice and Development of Rwanda, and an LLB from National University of Rwanda, an LLM in Criminal Justice and International Law of Human Rights from University of Rwanda. Andrew has contributed enormously to legal reforms in Rwanda, which ushered in the legal aid policy, the legal aid bill, reform of the Penal Code and the Criminal Procedure Code, and more pieces of legislations that favor access to justice for poor and vulnerable in Rwanda. Ladies and gentlemen, Andrews Kananga. Makofi jamani.
Yes, yes.
Very much. To our team, before I begin, allow me to express my sincere appreciation to the board, management, staff, partners, and the entire KITUO family for inviting me to join on this important occasion. And I want to be formal. I can talk a lot about KITUO and our partnership, whether from the point of view of the Legal Aid Forum, but also from the point of view of African Center, who KITUO is also a founding member. But I want to be very formal and stick to the event today, which is the launch. And I'm here representing the center. I'm particularly honored to convey this goodwill message on behalf of the African Center of Excellence for Access to Justice, a regional platform dedicated to advancing access to justice, legal empowerment, and people-centered justice systems across Africa. We are proud to stand alongside KITUO CHA SHERIA on this important milestone and to celebrate an institution whose contribution to justice and human rights has inspired practitioners and organizations across the continent. Today, we are not merely launching a strategic plan. We are reaffirming a shared commitment to justice, human rights, human dignity, and the empowerment of those who are too often left behind. As KITUO CHA SHERIA embarks on this strategic plan 2026-2030, we celebrate more than 5 decades of remarkable service to the people of Kenya and the region at large. Since its establishment in 1973, KITUO has remained a steadfast champion of legal empowerment, access to justice, human rights, and social transformation, not only in Kenya, but in the region. The achievements highlighted in the plan speaks for themselves. Tens of thousands of individuals receiving legal aid and representation, refugees, asylum seekers, and internally displaced persons finding protection and hope, communities empowered through paralegal networks and social justice centers, and countless policy and legislative reforms influenced I beg your pardon. The achievements highlighted in this plan speak for themselves. Tens of thousands of individuals receiving legal aid and legal representation, refugees and asylum seekers, and internally displaced persons finding protection and hope, communities empowered through paralegal networks and social justice centers, and countless policy and legislative reforms influenced in the pursuit of a more just society. These accomplishments have not only changed lives, they have strengthened democratic governance and expanded the promise of justice for all Kenyans. What is particularly inspiring about the strategic plan KITUO is launching today, it is a recognition of the evolving challenges facing our society today. The focus on climate justice, migration and governance, economic and social justice, legal aid and empowerment, governance and rule of law, and organizational sustainability demonstrates a forward-looking and holistic understanding of justice. The plan acknowledges that access to justice is inseparable from issues such as climate change, displacement, poverty, inequality, and accountable governance. As partners in the broader access to justice movement, we welcome KITUO's commitment to placing people at the center of its interventions. The vision of integrated people-centered justice resonates strongly with all of us who believe that justice must be accessible, inclusive, responsive, and transformative. We also commend KITUO for recognizing that strong institutions are essential for lasting impact. The emphasis on organizational development, sustainability, innovation, partnership, and resource mobilization will position KITUO to continue serving vulnerable communities effectively in an increasingly complex environment. As this new chapter begins, let me assure KITUO of our continued partnership and solidarity. The aspirations contained in this strategic plan cannot be achieved by one single organization. They require collective efforts, governments, civil society, development partners, academia, communities and citizens working together to build societies where justice is not a privilege for a few, but a right enjoyed by all of us. On behalf of the African Center, I congratulate KITUO CHA SHERIA on the launch of this ambitious and timely strategic plan. As institutions that share a common commitment to expanding access to justice and empowering communities, we look forward to strengthening collaboration, promoting learning across borders, and advancing innovative approaches that place people at the center of justice systems. May the next 5 years bring even greater impact, strong partnerships, and meaningful progress towards a just, fair, and equitable society. I wish you every success in the implementation of this strategic plan and in the continued pursuit of justice for all Kenyans and our people across Africa and East Africa in particular. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Without further ado, I would like to invite the chair of the board, Mr. Justus Munyidia, who will be able to give his welcoming remarks and introduce the theme of today's event. Karibu sana, Chair.
Both virtually and physically, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And in our Kiswahili, hamjambo. Karibu sana. Now, kabla sijaongea, before I speak, ningetaka sasa ni wajulishe the board members. Please come, whom I serve with, board members. I know that Justice Wasilwa is joining us, members are here. I'll give them each a chance, waseme jambo, before I could speak. Please come. Wambua, you are the secretary to the board, so please come.
Everyone, I think I had already greeted all of you. My name is Sarah Isendi. I serve in the board of KITUO CHA SHERIA. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Fatuma Dugo. I'm one of the board members at KITUO CHA SHERIA.
Good afternoon once more. Elkana Kimeli is my name. I am the treasurer. Welcome once more.
Good afternoon once again. Wambua Kituku, I'm the executive director and secretary to the board. Karibuni tena.
And we also have Justice PJ Otieno is coming to join us shortly, basically. As I've indicated, my name is Justus Munyidia. I'm serving my final term as the chair of KITUO, and I've been serving for the last 7 years. I still remember with nostalgia on the 19th of June, I think around 2019, when I was requested to steer KITUO to where it is. And I'm very happy that today we are here gathered to celebrate the path that we have taken and to launch this strategic plan. To our chief guests present, representing Charles Kajama, Mr. Eric Kivuva, the chair of Nairobi branch, to our development partners, government institutions, my colleagues from the civil society, board members of KITUO, our community paralegals, our staff friends of KITUO, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me pleasure to welcome you all to the launch of KITUO CHA SHERIA Strategic Plan 2026-2030. We are deeply honored by your presence and grateful for your continued partnership, solidarity, and commitment to advancing access to justice in Kenya. Now, reflecting on KITUO's journey, today is both a moment of celebration. For more than 50 years or so, KITUO CHA SHERIA has stood alongside poor and marginalized communities in dignity and equality. Over the years, we have witnessed unusual influence to landscape. education, mechanism, promoted legal empowerment and communities and protect their rights. This journey would not have been possible without the support of our members, our partners, development partners, our communities, board members, staff, and many champions of justice who have worked with us. This afternoon, we have seen our colleagues from African Center for Excellence speaking to the regional aspect of what KITUO has done. This is not something we are taking for granted. Now, why this strategic plan matters? As we look to the future, we recognize that the challenges facing our communities continue to evolve. Increasingly, inequality and sustainable responses. Now, the strategic plan we launched today is our collective response to these realities. It is a roadmap that will guide KITUO's work over the next 5 years and position the organization to remain relevant, responsive, and impactful. Most importantly, this strategic plan reflects our belief that justice should not only be available in courts and institutions, but should also be accessible within communities. Looking at this strategic plan, we are moving from not only legal aid, but towards legal empowerment. A defining feature of this strategic plan is KITUO's continued transition from legal aid-centered approach to a broader legal empowerment model. While legal aid remains essential, experiences over time have shown us that sustainable justice is achieved when people understand their rights, have the confidence to assert them, and possess the tools necessary to hold duty bearers accountable. This strategic plan, therefore, places communities at the center of change. It seeks to strengthen legal empowerment, support justice mechanism, enhance citizen participation, and amplify the voices of those who are often excluded from decision-making processes. Our priorities for the next 5 years through this strategic plan, KITUO commits to do the following things: expanding access to justice for the poor and marginalized communities, strengthen legal empowerment and community-led justice initiatives, advancing human rights and constitutionalism, enhancing institutional sustainability and resilience, deepening strategic partnerships and collaborations, promoting innovation and knowledge generation in the justice sector, and responding effectively to emerging socio-economic, environment, and governance challenges. This journey, we can't do it together, and we'd like to appreciate the partners who have really supported us. Allow me to sincerely appreciate those partners, our civil society partners also, CSO, that's a community-based organization, and institutional allies who have supported KITUO's work over the last 53 years. Your partnership has enabled us to reach communities that would otherwise remain excluded from justice systems. We also like to thank the consultants who came to help us with this plan, the board members, the staff of KITUO, stakeholders, the beneficiaries, who contributed their insight and experiences during the development of this strategic plan. This document reflects a truly participatory process and embodies our shared aspiration for a more just and equitable society. The launch of this strategic plan is a call to action. It is not just an end of a process, it is the beginning of a new chapter for KITUO CHA SHERIA. Its success will depend not only on KITUO SHERIA, but also on the collective efforts of all stakeholders represented here today. We therefore wish to invite you to continue working with us in this journey. Together, let us strengthen legal empowerment. Together, let us defend human rights. Together, let us expand access to justice. Together, let us build a society where every person lives with dignity and enjoy the protection under the law within this region. As we conclude, we officially launched the KITUO CHA SHERIA strategy plan. We affirm our commitment to justice, inclusion, accountability, and human dignity. On the behalf of the board and the KITUO CHA SHERIA family, I thank you for your presence and continued support. I look forward to our continued partnership as we work towards realizing the vision set out in this strategic plan. May God bless you, may God bless Kenya, may God bless you. Thank you very much. Let me invite now Executive Director, Dr. KITUCO, to come, take us to the next level. I also want to pass apologies for Director Musongo, who could not attend because he was bereaved. Thank you.
Before we launch the strategic plan, we need to put everything into context. So I will start by first putting the strategic plan to a historical context. As the chair has rightly said, KITUO has been around for 53 years. Coincidentally, KITUO was established in 1973. So I hope you see the rhyme, 53, 73, in the strategic plan, we've given you a historical timeline of KITUO from 73 to date. But in this very short presentation, and the risk of annoying the MC, who's also my boss, Sarah Essendi, I will talk about KITUO's history in 4 historical epochs. And the first epoch runs from 1973 to 1990, and that was characterized by a period of establishing and entrenching KITUO as a legal aid organization. And by the way, KITUO started off as KITUO CHA SHERIA before it converted its name to KITUO CHA SHERIA. And during this period, KITUO became known for providing legal assistance largely to single individuals, what we know as here as single welfare cases. So most of the time it was workers who had been unfairly dismissed, people who had been thrown out of their houses without being given due notice, and such kind of legal problems. That's what KITUO was known for. Then in 1990, KITUO entered the second stage, which ran up to 2000, and that was a period that was characterized by institutionalization of KITUO, and this happened in several ways. One, KITUO got registered as an NGO under the NGO Coordination Act of 1990 at that time, and secondly, KITUO began employing advocates and therefore started providing these services here. And also related to that, KITUO saw the need to undertake public interest litigation as a way of addressing barriers to justice on one hand, but secondly, addressing those human rights violations that tend to occur at scale, which invariably also affected individuals at a personal level. And some of the most notable wins at this time was stopping the demolition of Toy Market by the city council at that time, and also winning land for the community in Majaoni, down at the coast. KITUO also opened a decentralized office in Mombasa at that time. KITUO began the journey to legal empowerment by working towards the establishment of a network of paralegals at a national level. That network eventually became what we now know as Paralegal Society of Kenya. Importantly, KITUO got involved in advocacy for a new constitution. So that shows KITUO's period of institutionalization of its work in Kenya. The third period began in 2000 and probably went up to 2015 or thereabout. And this is a period when KITUO started working very hard towards its sustainability. In 2001, KITUO acquired this property, and hopefully this is where the Justice House will be built. It's been a long-term vision of KITUO, and we hope this strategic plan will lay the foundation for actualization of that vision. KITUO established a program that focused on policy and legislative advocacy. Initially it was known as AGCP, and through that program KITUO now began working towards addressing the systemic roots of injustices. through ensuring laws were changed to address injustices or eliminate the risk of injustices. KITUO also entrenched its work in legal empowerment. Instead of KITUO providing representation to people, KITUO started empowering people to represent themselves. And this work was seen in the work that KITUO was doing in prisons, empowering prisoners to become paralegals for self-representation in their own cases, but also training other prisoners to represent themselves. And out of this work, prisoners on their own motion, with support of KITUO of course, filed a petition that eventually led to a declaration that prisoners are entitled to vote at the 2010 referendum. So later prisoners followed up on that early legal win to push for a declaration that eventually acknowledged the right of prisoners to participate in presidential elections. So that shows KITUO was empowering other people to pursue their rights, but also to shape the law in a way that protects their rights without necessarily our involvement. From the period between 2015 to date marks another historical period where KITUO has been working to consolidate its work here and abroad. And you've just heard messages of solidarity from our partners at the regional level and international level. So KITUO's involvement in those networks began around about that time. And that's when KITUO also realized that realizing justice for people in Kenya also required working beyond our borders, influencing policies at a regional level, East Africa community level, Africa Union level. It also required influencing processes at an international level. So that's how we ended up joining the Grassroots Justice Network, the African Alliance for People-Centered Justice, the African Center for Excellence in Access to Justice. So we still continue to expand our work to new areas, and this strategic planning launch will also bring out some of these new areas that KITUO has ventured into as part of the consolidation of our work. And let me not speak about that now. We'll talk about it as we launch strategic plan. So the challenge then I would like to pose to KITUO and to our stakeholders here. I think we've enjoyed a very glorious 53 years of our existence. So how do we imagine the next 53 years will look like for KITUO? This plan gives us a small peek into that future. So the challenge for us is to make sure that we build very hard and realize a better 53 years for KITUO starting in 2026. So with that, Madam MC, I pause there. So we are now at the stage where we'll be launching a self-representation manual for small claims courts litigants. And this is a project we've been implementing in Mombasa County through our regional office located in Mombasa, and with funding from Mkeni Kenya, which is UNDP Kenya's civil society strengthening project. And in turn, UNDP has been supported by partners who belong to a global network known as the Justice Action Coalition that has been advocating for innovation in provision of legal services to the people at the grassroots, those who are vulnerable and marginalized within this emergent concept of people-centered justice. So I will invite, before we launch the manual, and one of our guests here, Executive Director from FIDA, will help us in launching the manual. I would like to invite Program Officer from Mombasa office, Kingsley Tabu. Kingsley always is our program officer there, but he never hesitates to remind us that he's an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. So, Wakili Kingsley, please give us an overview of the Small Claims Courts projects in Mombasa.
All protocols observed. Good afternoon. My name is Kingsley Tabu. Of course, before I am a program officer, I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. And I went to Alliance too. Yes, so today we're launching our self-representation manual. I think we're all Africans, and when a baby is born, there are stages before they're presented to the general public. Of course, parents do this to prepare the child for the world, and the vice versa, to prepare the world for the child. Today we bring forth our self-representation manual. This manual is a result of grit, hard work, and passion from, of course, the Mombasa Regional Office. The manual itself has been developed by our consultant from Haki Africa in conjunction with several shareholders such as the judiciary, ourselves, persons from organizations such as Boda Boda Welfare Organization, and the likes. During this project, we came across a number of challenges. Of course, challenges are always there. Our biggest challenge was the fact that there's ever-changing jurisprudence. Implementing the small claim project as of right now has been a bit difficult because of this changing jurisprudence. I think for the advocates in the building, we can see that some courts are telling us different things. One court tells you that you can take cases concerning rent to it. Other courts tell you that you really can't take such cases. You find that when developing this manual, we had an issue with that. Our second issue as we're implementing the project was, of course, are we all listening? Yes, I saw some people had lost my attention. Was, of course, the few number of JOs in the judiciary. When we first started the project in the office, we noticed that we received a very high number of cases. I kid you not, every day I attend to 10 matters in the small claims court, and that's 5 days a week. One of the JOs in Mombasa gave me a name. She called me seasoned advocate of the small claims court. I had mixed feelings about it, of course, because I'd rather be a seasoned advocate of the Supreme Court, but all is well. So we find that we're having a huge amount of cases that we're dealing with. So this is where I ask our partners, especially our development partners, please bring us more funding. More funding will allow us to implement. We are pressed with time. I'd like to present the manual itself, and I'd like to invite Chair, ED, and our PSK representative to the front. Thank you. Cause you're a sky full of stars. Cause you light up the path. I don't care who wanna tell. I don't care if you do.
your sky full of stars. I wanna die in the
We have a representative from the National Assembly. Take a photo with him of the small claims courts self-representation manual. This matter is coming to the amendments to the Act are on their way to the National Assembly. It is our hope that the National Assembly will amend the law to make it even more easier for litigants with small disputes to have those disputes resolved at the small claims courts. And there's no other way of committing the National Assembly than getting a photo of their representative here, so that if they refuse to do that, then we have something to hold them against. Sindio? Okay.
To recognize Doreen Nalemo from NCAJ, Lance Anjogu from LRF, and Evelyn Arisi from Witness Protection Agency, and finally Wangari Kagai, the Director of Public Interest Litigation and Advocacy of the Law Society of Kenya. Karibuni sana.
Very much, Conrad, for that. In order to catch up with the lost time, I've been asked by the MCs to take you quickly through the strategic plan. We wanted to do it in a more participatory way, have a PowerPoint, take you through the very important points on that PowerPoint, but we may not have to do that. We published an abridged version of the strategic plan. I hope everybody has it. Okay. So this summarizes our strategic plan. And just to explain the process, the plan was done by consultants commissioned by the board. And they began, of course, with the usual process of carrying out contextual analysis, performance analysis of KITUO for the last 5 years. How was our strategic plan designed? What did we achieve? What did we achieve? What were the lessons? They also helped us go through an analysis of our operating environment, external environment. They did PESTELs, and we were able to identify what were the key issues that KITUO needs to respond to out there for the next 5 years. And we also needed to take into account some of the things that have occurred within our operating environment for the last 5 years. So out of this, we did a program analysis, and we were able to identify six strategic areas of focus for KITUO. Now, the first is economic and social justice, and this blends with the work that KITUO has been doing since inception, providing legal assistance to those who have socioeconomic rights violations, labor, health, education, etc. All those things that linked to provision of basic services as basic rights. Then the second priority area is legal aid and empowerment. Again, this is a continuation of the work that we've done since inception, providing legal aid, but now scaling it up to also reflect the empowerment of people, of communities, so that they can be able to pursue justice by themselves and with very little assistance from KITUO. And the launch of this self-representation manual also accords with that approach. You teach people to represent themselves so that people don't need to keep on coming to KITUO for this kind of assistance. The fourth area is migration, justice and governance. And this is also a continuation of work around refugee protection and ensuring asylum seekers in Kenya are not mistreated. But also this work has been internationalized. KITUO is part of the Global Litigation Steering Council, which also litigates on refugee issues, asylum seekers issues globally. Currently, we are part of a team that is before the African Court on Human and People's Rights. We are trying to seek an interpretation of state obligations on climate change, and our particular focus is on climate-related displacements, the so-called environmental climate change refugees. So, and other than that, we've also been litigating on asylum seekers abroad. Today, we got a judgment from the High Court on a case we had presented related to those migrant workers in Saudi Arabia. And the judgment was positive in one way, in the sense that the court acknowledged that the government of Kenya neglected its responsibilities of ensuring protection to those migrant workers abroad, and the harms they suffered are as a result of that conduct by our government, and therefore their rights were violated. But on the other hand, something which also rings bell with the Gachagua case, no damages were awarded to the people on whose behalf we petitioned, despite the court finding that their rights had been violated. So probably that becomes an issue of appeal for KITUO. So the fourth area is governance, justice, and rule of law. And this is also a continuation of the work that we've done on public interest litigation, trying to hold the government accountable for not adhering to the Constitution, for going against the tenets of rule of law. And in here, we'll also domicile our work on civic education and electoral justice, now that 2027 is around the corner. Land, environmental, and climate justice is both continuation of the work that we've done with communities on land issues, but also a new emergent area on environmental justice as well as climate justice. So already we are involved in research work that tries to see how can we enhance legal empowerment in order to address climate injustices in Kenya. But then we've also taken up recently cases on climate justice, one in Baringo and one in Kisumu. Baringo, it's related to the displacements that happened in Lake Baringo when the water levels went up. In Kisumu, we are representing farmers who are trying to hold the government accountable for not helping them build resilience, and therefore they've suffered losses as farmers, and therefore the government should compensate them for that. The last priority is on organizational development and sustainability, and this is where the work of consolidating KITUO as an institution will be domiciled, enhancing our internal operations, building the capacity of our staff, strengthening our regional presence, enabling us to serve our constituencies like the paralegal community, and I see it's very well represented here, working together with our networking partners. I see many of them here, and we appreciate your presence. Helping us to stand on our feet, relying more and more on the resources that we generate as KITUO. And for that reason, we hope on this ground where we are holding this event, we shall build our Justice House as a multi-story building that will host not only our offices, it will host our meeting rooms, but we shall also create space for other people to come and have their offices rented out in our Justice House. So in a nutshell, those are the key priorities that KITUO will be pursuing for the next 5 years. So what's the implication of pursuing those priorities? Financial implication is that we need to raise at least 1.12 billion shillings in the next 5 years. 1.12 billion shillings. Seems that it's a lot of money. But President Uhuru told us we lose 3 billion shillings every day to corruption, yeah? So why should it be difficult to raise 1.2 billion in 5 years to do the good work that I've just explained to you? Honestly, it should not be difficult, right? So we'll try our best. And as you'll see how the money has been apportioned, legal empowerment, which is traditionally what we are known for, will take the largest share of monies directed towards programming for the constituencies that we serve. Land and environmental justice is number 2, because it also represents a new area which also has very heavy resource demands in terms of raising awareness, research, engaging in policy level advocacy, and also litigation in this area, which is extremely technical, which sometimes also requires litigation beyond our borders. Organizational development also takes a huge amount, and this also reflects what we said, that KITUO now has entered into a phase of consolidating itself. All this work will require a very strong secretariat, but also it reflects our ongoing efforts towards sustainability. Constructing the Justice House project will also take significant resources. So in a nutshell, we'll also embark on innovative resource mobilization strategies. Relying on foreign donors is becoming a very precarious enterprise. Those who relied on USAID can tell you the kind of disruptions they went through when Trump announced that they are no longer interested in funding democracy and human rights work in the developing countries. So for us, that's a wake-up call. But KITUO, let me say, we also took a hedging. We hedged ourselves by reducing our reliance on bilateral funders, and we engaged funders who may not necessarily be seen as traditional funders in the NGO funding landscape. So besides that, we'll try and deepen relationships with those who are currently supporting us, establish income-generating activities, also pursue domestic resource mobilization, and also work with others, our networking partners here, in joint fundraising efforts. So in a nutshell, that's our strategic plan in about 10 minutes. And having said that, I will invite, therefore, our chair, Advocate Justice Munyidia, to invite our chief guest to make the keynote address, and thereafter we'll hand it back to our MCs, who will then take us through the launch of the strategic plan. So Justice Munyidia, the mic is yours.
Asante sana. We say that in this event, we have been honored to have a member from the National Assembly representing the Speaker. Mohamed Saleh is going to say jambo, and he's going to have a place so that he is welcome.
Partners to KITUO CHA SHERIA, the leadership of KITUO CHA SHERIA. My name is Mohamed Saleh. I am the legal counsel in the House of the Speaker of the National Assembly. So to honor the invitation to the Right Honorable Speaker, we are here to say congratulations to the KITUO CHA SHERIA for achieving this milestone of launching a strategic plan 2026-2030. The 5 strategic pillars you've highlighted are critically important towards driving the agenda of justice for all in this country, and we will endeavor towards working with you and do all that's necessary towards ensuring that that's achieved. My little experience in working with the humanitarian sector in Dadaab involved engaging with KITUO CHA SHERIA at the time while working as an implementing partner with UNHCR under different agencies. So your support and work towards the migration and vulnerable refugees who have come to this country due to conflicts either in Somalia or Sudan and based in Dadaab is invaluable and much appreciated, and we encourage you to continue with the same spirit so that together we can even achieve more. I want to thank you all for taking your time to be here and wish that you continue doing the good job and continue working with you going forward. Thank you so much, Chairman.
The Speaker, because when the bill comes, scrutinize it so that we get a favorable amendments to the small claims court. Asante sana. Thank you. Now, our chief guest this evening is Eric Kivuva, representing the President of the Law Society of Kenya, Mr. Charles Kanjama. Eric Kivuva is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. He is a mentor to many. He has served the Law Society now and is serving his second term in Nairobi. And I want to confirm that one of the biggest constituencies in our public interest litigation forum for lawyers comes from your branch. Chairman, we don't take that for granted. They have been supportive, and the cases that we have been done through support of your members who give their time on pro bono basis to serve that. Secondly, although we never used to have branches, but when KITUO was founded, our founders were also members here of Nairobi branch. Again, we don't take that for granted. So I want to invite you to come and give us your keynote address and help us to launch the strategic plan. Welcome. Let's give a clap to the chairman.
Thank you so much, Chair. I had come in this afternoon as a friend of KITUO, as a partner of KITUO. I did not know that the president, my president, Charles Kanjama Senior Counsel, will place this very heavy responsibility on me, but I take it with courage, and I hope that I will execute just the way that he would. The board, KITUO CHA SHERIA, my lord, partners, the team from the DPP, and all people present here, good evening.
Good evening.
It gives me a great pleasure to be addressing you this evening. And indeed, the Law Society of Kenya has long recognized that the rule of law is a bedrock of a just and orderly society. In this spirit, we have been greatly privileged to work closely with KITUO CHA SHERIA, advancing initiatives that strengthen access to justice and safeguard the rights of all. This partnership reflects our shared conviction in justice, not only to be done, our shared conviction that justice must not only be done, but must be seen to be done for every citizen, regardless of status or circumstance. Today's theme, advancing people-centered justice in Kenya and beyond our borders, could not be more timely. It resonates deeply with the current state of the administration of justice, reminding us that the law is not an abstract concept confined to statutes and courtrooms. It is a living promise, a covenant between the people and the institutions that serve them. As lawyers, judges, and advocates of justice, we must stand firm in protecting the rule of law. This means resisting any encroachment on judicial independence, ensuring fairness in the delivery of justice, and defending the rights of the vulnerable. It means embracing innovation and reform so that justice is not delayed, denied, or distorted. People-centered justice calls us to look beyond procedure and precedent to lived reality of those who seek redress. It challenges us to make justice accessible, affordable, and responsive. It requires us to listen to communities, to empower families, and to protect children, women, and marginalized groups. Beyond our borders, Kenya must continue to be a beacon of legal innovation and integrity. Our jurisprudence, our commitment to ADR, and our embrace of technology can inspire reforms across Africa and the wider world. But let us be clear, none of this will be possible unless, as custodians of the law, we remain steadfast. The rule of law is fragile when neglected, but unbreakable when defended with courage and conviction. And so today, I call upon each one of us, advocates, judges, scholars, civil society sector, citizens, to recommit ourselves to this noble journey. Let us advance a people-centered justice, not as a slogan, but as a lived reality. Let us stand firm, protect the rule of law, and ensure that justice in Kenya and beyond remains a light that guides generation to come. I thank you.
The hallmark of this event, we really want to launch our plan. So I'm asking a secretariat team, let's get ready, let's set it up, and we'll invite our chief guest, we'll invite the board, we'll invite the ED as we do this.
Ministerio, JVI, UNDP, all of you, please come forward. With the chair, the chief guest, and the board to take a picture. My colleagues, we can leave the podium, the entire board. Picture with it. Pigeni makofi tafadhali. Let's pause with it. Jump. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. To invite a few of our partners who would wish to share their messages of goodwill. And I will begin by the representative from the National Legal Aid Services, who will speak on behalf of the Acting Executive Director for the National Legal Aid Services. Mercy, please come. Beginning my coffee.
So allow me to make a few remarks on behalf of the CEO, National Legal Aid Service. So, distinguished guests, the Executive Director of KITUO CHA SHERIA, partners in the justice sector, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor, on behalf of the Chief Executive Officer of the National Legal Aid Service, Madam Fresia Gedombi, to join you today for the launch of the KITUO Sheria Strategic Plan 2026-2030 under the theme Advancing People-Centered Justice in Kenya and Beyond. At the outset, I extend my warm congratulations to KITUO CHA SHERIA for this very important milestone. A strategic plan is a powerful statement of intent, and today you reaffirm your continued commitment to access to justice, dignity, and empowerment for all. So NLAS and KITUO CHA SHERIA, we both share a common mission of advancing access to justice.
So my name is Dr. Wambua Kituku. I'm the Executive Director at KITUO CHA SHERIA, which is a legal aid and empowerment organization that was set up in 1973. So this year will be 53 years old in July. So today we are launching our strategic plan, which is basically a 5-year plan. It outlines the strategic priorities that KITUO will pursue over the next 5 years. And when I say strategic priorities, I mean the main objectives which this organization will pursue. And we've identified 5 of them. One is promoting climate, environmental and land justice in Kenya. Second is on promoting human rights and rule of law. Third one is promoting legal aid and legal empowerment, which is what we've been doing since 1973. And the fourth one is on migration, justice and governance, which looks at protection of refugees, asylum seekers, as well as displaced persons. And then lastly, we'll be looking at social justice, which again is what KITUO has been doing over the years. Why is it important? Strategic plan gives us the North Star. It guides us on the strategies that we'll be pursuing the next 5 years. It also communicates what KITUO is trying to achieve. Lastly, it also gives us a good opportunity to budget and mobilize resources so that we're able to pursue the strategies that are contained in our strategic plan. We look forward to building partnerships to ensure that this plan is implemented successfully. So we are not just looking at foreign donors, we're also looking at Kenyans, because justice should be a priority for all Kenyans. Our work has largely focused on the poor, marginalized, those who don't have a voice. So we will soon start calling upon Kenyans who have means to contribute to KITUO and help us provide justice for those who cannot afford it. Thank you. Sorry? Okay, yeah, yes. Yeah, today KITUO received a judgment from the High Court. We had sued the government over the mistreatment of migrant workers in Saudi Arabia, Kenyan migrant workers in Saudi Arabia. And that's part of what we pursue through our migration, justice and governance program. So the court found that the government had neglected its responsibilities in ensuring the protection of migrant workers. It had neglected its responsibilities in vetting the companies that procure these workers and transport them to the Middle East. Even though the court found that by the government not doing what it's supposed to do, it had violated the rights of those migrant workers. Unfortunately, the court did not give any compensation for those violations. And therefore, we are wondering, how can you then find that rights have been violated and yet you don't give a remedy to those people whose rights have been violated? So, as KITUO, we will appeal that judgment, at least on that issue of compensation. And we hope that the courts will agree with us that if our violation of a human right has been declared by the court, then the court ought to give a corresponding remedy for that violation. And we hope this judgment will also give us an opportunity to engage with the government so that the government puts in place a proper framework to facilitate safe, secure, and dignified migration of Kenyans to wherever they want to go to work. And when their rights are violated there, then the government has a responsibility to ensure that those violations are remedied in the countries where those violations occur. Thank you.